Good evening, fight boxing fans. I screwed that one up. Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to Enter the Ring Live with Mighty Mike and
AJ Rage.
Sorry about that. I had a brain fart right there. It is Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021. Back for another edition of Enter the Ring Live, talking boxing. All that's happening is going to happen, and what we hope will happen.
Where's Eric the Red?
I think Eric, he had mentioned last week that on Sunday that he was getting ready to open back up. In fact, I saw he put some stuff on social media. He opens back up on Friday, his business. So he's probably, pretty busy getting that ready, which is, hey, do what you got. He's got to do what he's got to do. That's his livelihood. So,
yeah, for people that don't know, my brother Eric's got an amazing escape room in Oregon. What part of Oregon is it again?
Gresham, Oregon.
Gresham, Oregon. And
yeah.
I mean, he's so creative. I mean, he literally built this with his bare hands. And
yeah,
I've been to escape rooms, and I'm not just saying it because my brother. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, when I went there, bro, I didn't realize the scope of the work that was involved in it. I saw pictures during the process, and when I was up there this past summer, I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, holy moly, there's so much that goes into it. And, it was his vision, and it was something. I think Eric got the idea. I think he went to one as a patron, as a customer, a client. And then he said, you know what, I can do that, but I think I can do it a little bit better. And he did, because he incorporated almost like that dinner theater vibe into an escape room. So he's got live actors and people that interact with the people. It's fantastic, man.
I think that must be something in our blood, because I mean, everything that we've done in the past, I mean, when I think about it, I mean, I go all the way back to our football days. Yeah. That was the whole reason why I got into it, why you got into it, because it wasn't that we didn't love football. We loved football, but we thought we could do it a little better, which we ended up doing, So.
Eric just texted me, so I think he might be, joining us right now. So
cool.
That's good. But I do know he's been staying busy. No, AJ, that's a good point. Everything that how do I say it, man? I don't want to pat ourselves on the back too hard, but we're kind of like trendsetters, man, trailblazers. We don't go to the beat of everybody's drum. We don't just conform and join. We do our own thing. We've always done that. Like you said, we are 15 plus years and doing football, music for over shit.
I mean, how many bands? I mean, think about this. There's always been girl-led rock metal bands, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But when we kind of made that transition, how many bands now are coming out and doing that, where they're, and I feel bad for the guys. They're booting the guys and they're bringing in the girls, and they're kind of doing this thing and stuff like this. So,
and there's a bit of a resurgence right now when female rock and female metal and I mean, there's been a couple. How do I say this? Lizzie Hale a couple years ago won the Grammy, and she was good, but she kind of faded a little bit because I think she hit that sophomore slump where her follow-up album wasn't as good as that one that really put her on the map. And then of course you got Ginger, who's in my opinion for the harder metal, the harder progressive, with that element of the screamo in there. To me, they're at the pinnacle. To me, they're nobody could touch them. Arch Enemy, nobody can touch their musicality
in America. Now we're talking.
There's Eric.
The broad spectrum.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, brother. What's up?
You're at your business, right? I can tell.
I'm at the business, brother.
That's great, man.
We already got bookings.
That's amazing, brother.
That's great, bro. That's great,
awesome,
man.
So getting back what I was saying real quick, Mike, was me and our guitarist Val, we've always been big fans of Japanese metal. And I love bands like Crystal Lake, Her Name is Blood, Crossfaith. There's a band. I sent you the video, Brand of Sacrifice, and I was showing it to actually Mario today, and I was telling him, I was like, when you hear this, it's not just the heaviness of it, it's how it's put together. It's kind of like what America was doing in metal about the days when Pantera. All them started to fade off, have their issues and stuff. They kind of lifted from there, and they never stopped. But we kind of went through these different trends. These guys just perfected, and I'm telling you, man, it is just.
Dude, I got to tell you, man. And this, AJ, Eric, you as well. My number one destination on my bucket list has been for probably the better part of 2 decades. It's been Australia. I have a few friends that live down there. One of my favorite music bands is from there. But I got to be honest with you, man. Japan is creeping up. When I make that trip to Australia one day, hopefully one day soon,
you'll stop in Japan on the way.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna tack on a couple days in Tokyo. I want to go to Tokyo, and I want to go to Kyoto, where they do where the cherry blossoms are. And even if it's not that time of the year, I gotta go.
Well, you know how the big discussion is right now. You get a lot of people going. They're talking about the millennials. You know, they're looking at their dads or Gen Xers. We're Gen Xers, okay? Like I said, we're the guys.
Is that what we are, Gen X?
Yeah, we're Gen Xers. We're the ones that were raised with pagers. We were all latchkey kids. We knew how to come home, lock the door, and wait for our parents to come home from work.
Yeah,
and do all the chores.
We played in the street
outside.
We played outside.
We played games like Smear the Queer that probably today is not too politically correct, but it is what it is, you know.
Nerf football in the street, you know.
The street, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
doing jumps with your bikes.
Yeah, I mean,
kids don't do that.
Dirt clod fights. Remember just finding an empty field, just unloading on each other with dirt clods.
And lots of fist fights, man. Lots of fist fights. Crazy trends. I mean, it's just what it is. But I mean, when the Gen X generation finally fades out, you got to look at what's going to come next. And I'm not trying to down anybody else, but we were just kind of a breed apart. Still today, I still see things. I remember going down to Munger Hill, on my bike and stuff, and doing some things that people would just think like, you're a complete idiot. I mean, the kind of shit you see on Jackass, and like we were doing this when we were 10, 11 years old. It was insane,
Eric.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro. So Eric, before you jumped on, we were talking about, how we thought maybe you were there doing some work at the escape room, which you probably are. So AJ made a point about how we've kind of never followed trends, and we did the football thing and music thing, and I mean, you're kind of blazing your own trail with your escape room, and it was a passion. I think you had told me, and you could tell the story, but I think you had said that you had visited one as just a patron, right? A customer, and you thought to yourself, man, this is great. But I see where I can improve on this and put a different spin on it. Is that how you came up with the idea for it?
That's exactly how. So you guys all know I got my daughter Cherry, who loves theater and all that. So I mean, I had a perfect employee pool of all of her friends that had kind of graduated out of their acting classes. Mm-hmm. They're all looking for jobs anyway. So I looked at it as, I can take an industry that is brand new on the West Coast anyway. I can be the only one in the area. I'm in like a 15, 20 mile radius. I'm it.
Yeah.
And I can saturate the area, but I've got a great talent pool. Yeah, talent pool to pull my employees from. And we've done that. We've hired these young people that are actors and thespians, and they've done an amazing job. I mean, the rooms are fantastic. They're difficult. They're challenging. They make it difficult. But what sets us above, I believe, than the other places is our actors. And because they are in character with the people. They guide them through. It's.
Yeah, I was saying that how you kind of put the dinner theater. You took a couple of aspects from how dinner theater works, and I've been to one of those, and those are pretty fun. And if the actors are no good, or if they're just not that great, then you kind of lose interest. But obviously with using that spin and everybody, of course, Sherry's ultra talented, and using them and some of her peers from college. And you just have blended the two together. I mean, I think, you probably got other escape rooms out there now that are probably trying to do the same thing, try to follow your lead, right?
There are some out there that do something like that. But I just not that I want to, talk bad about anybody's escape rooms, but when you get somebody in there and they're just, they really can't act, and they don't have the accents, and they're just there for the
paycheck.
Then that's not it. Whereas the employees that I had, they absolutely love what they're doing, and they're having a good time. They're making a great wage.
They're perfecting their craft. They're sharpening their skills.
Craft, exactly. So it's pretty amazing to see that. And the reason I'm on a little bit late here is I'm actually here at the business, and somebody came walking by. I got a sign up there that we're opening on Friday.
Yeah.
I could see them. They were all excited, and they were pointing at the sign and everything. So I opened it up, and I gave them a quick little tour.
Oh, that's great, man.
And they were just, oh my God, we got to do this. And that. So
there you go, man.
This is what it is. It's it's just
people want to get out. People want to be entertained and create entertainment. Man, I
think businesses like Eric's are the ones that are going to really do, because
that's what I was going to say. I hope they just blow up, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
but they still have you on a limited scale though, right? You can't open up all your rooms at one time, right?
Now, so I can have 6 people per room right now. And so we're only going to open up 2 rooms.
The 2 most popular rooms, yeah.
The 2 most popular rooms. We're opening those 2. And then
the zombie room and which one? I know the
no. That's the submarine room and the speakeasy.
Oh, really?
Is what?
That submarine room is amazing, man.
Yeah, it's everybody loves it. It's really a very good room. But so we just got those 2 rooms open right now, and I've actually got to start looking to hire some more young people, because it's been almost a year. It's 10 and a half months.
So they're kind of, and you got to train them and everything, the scripts and everything.
Yeah. So we've got to do some training, and that's what I love doing that anyway, training the kids, because it kind of puts me like a director,
Yeah, and Eric, and for those of you don't know it, most people watching this probably don't know it. Eric, you have a background in acting. You did theater in school. You did it outside of school. I remember when you worked on that theater production in Upland, right? With what's his name? Masterson with
yeah. I've done Fiddler on the Roof. I've done oh my gosh, I did a
Pinocchio. I'm just kidding.
No.
And don't forget, I dabbled in acting a little bit too. I probably should have got nominated.
Oh, listen. AJ should have won the Academy Award for the hardest stare down and best ever in a movie.
You gotta find
that guy would have kicked my ass.
Perfect weapon.
The Perfect Weapon, but with Jeff Speakman. That's a great movie. You still see it on cable sometimes. It'll be on like TNT or something.
I'm like, wait, I gotta pause it.
I actually got a residual check in about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
How would they give you?
It was crazy because I don't know. It was like a forward from my old address when I lived in Fullerton, and
you looked Asian in that film.
I know. That's why I got in. I was the only non-Asian guy. I had blonde hair. They dyed my hair black. They thought it was Asian, dude.
It was at Club Crockpit.
But I mean, how
much was their residual check?
$27.
Yeah, that's a freaking night out at Taco Bell right there.
I got.
And you know what though? Hey, that's the movie, right? For those of you that know the name Mariska Hargitay, right? That was like her first feature film. And from there, she went on to freaking, what is it? Crime SUV or whatever that thing is. What is that show's been on for 1,000 years? That she's been. Yeah, Special Victims
SBU,
Unit or one of those.
SBU. SBU.
It could have been you, AJ.
Whatever. So,
I love this. Hey, what you guys were talking about, the whole fist fight thing, AJ?
Yeah.
Do you remember this hand right here? This knuckle?
I'm going to say when we lost.
I broke
a great opportunity.
I busted this knuckle on his right side, AJ's right side of his head. And my hand swelled up like a softball. And I was still wanting to fight. But AJ, he saw my hand and he was like, brother, come on. And I just hit him. And we
didn't have a referee, dude. It would have been a fucking mercy killing, dude.
No. This was in the street, brother. Don't you remember? This was on
I said there's no referee. Who's going to stop the fight when you're out on your feet?
I know, but I'll never
I'll tell you now.
I'll never forget how you took care of me. So I'll never forget how you took care of me.
Boxing brought this family, us as brothers, more than just enjoyment watch on television. It was part of our life. I remember the days when me and my brothers, we would go into our rec room and we actually constructed boxing rings and we would fight sometimes 20 freaking rounds. We're talking John L. Sullivan days, just out there, just beating the shit out of each other and stuff. But I mean, it wasn't about the violent aspect, it was just about, and it helped us because obviously we learned how to defend ourselves and stuff. But hey, real quick, before we jump into boxing, I want to say one thing. We missed a golden opportunity during the pandemic of a business. I thought about the other day when the movie came on. We should have started a fight club, dude. All these people with all the vended up thing, we could have started a fight club, dude.
Oh yeah, everybody all angry.
Yeah, like well, you know what's funny though is, oh darn it,
like that guy down in Louisiana or Tennessee. He does that one. What's it called? Backyard fights or whatever. What's that guy? street beefs or something like that, or street or something like that. And the guys get in there and they have beefs on social media and shit, and they get in there and they fight. And then when they fight, it's over. I saw a good one yesterday, man. It popped up on my thing. It was a good one, man. There was this white kid with a mullet, man, and he was going, him and this other black kid were going back and forth. A girl was involved, and they got in there and they did that. It only lasted one round. The mullet kid caught him with a good. He was getting gas and he was backing up, and I don't know what happened. He ended up catching the guy with the good left hook, put him out.
Are they using gloves? Are they using gloves? Or
they're using just those little the little MMA gloves.
Oh, yeah,
little 4-ounces. Yeah.
I liked bum fights.
Bum fights. So those guys got in trouble.
I know. So maybe we should go ahead and talk about boxing. Everybody's like, okay, we've learned everything about the Mendiola brothers, and believe me,
there's not a whole lot going on in boxing right now. So.
Well, you know what? No, what I was going to say though. Us boxing and fighting so much when we were younger. By the time we got to high school, nobody messed with the Mendiola boys.
No, we never get in fights and stuff. No,
nobody really. Yeah, I mean, our reputation kind of preceded itself. Then when we did have to, aka Danny Lemos and Raul Lemos, AJ.
No, but I was more afraid of my dad. I was more afraid of my dad what my dad was going to do to me if I got suspended from school. I was more afraid of that I was, getting jumped or getting beaten in school. That was nothing, man. And that's the problem with today. I mean, when they talk about, like I said, me and Mike were talking about that earlier, the Gen Xers, we're in a day now where you can't even punish your kids. You punish your kids, you end up in court, for child abuse, and your kids end up in therapy. It's crazy, man. But
not me.
Well, let's talk about boxing, guys. So we're coming off of obviously the weekend when there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, there were some fights obviously, but there wasn't a whole lot of excitement. We were talking earlier, AJ. The numbers came in for the Caleb Truex fight. Fox peaked at a little over 2 million views for. That's what it peaked at, and they're saying it's the most watched boxing event on Fox in 13 months. Now. That's a good positive way to spin it. You know what I mean? That's to say, hey, look, a lot of people watched it, but like we had mentioned towards the end of that,
turn on their next one.
Yeah. Who's going to turn the next one on? Because I went back and I watched it again. I've watched the fight now 2.5 times. The third time I tried to watch it, I fell asleep halfway into it. But it just really wasn't all that exciting of a fight. And you're right, AJ. Right away, Caleb Plant, and he did sustain a little slight injury on his left hand. I saw that it swelled up a little bit, but most fighters know that you do. Michael Norato's last fight, he broke his hand in the ring on the guy. He landed a punch and knocked the guy down, and actually broke his hand. And when they took his glove off and his got that tape off, his hand was like twice its normal size. But
I was there.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't an excuse. He still went out there and with the broken hand. Ended up he didn't stop the guy, but he won a unanimous decision, but ended up dropping the guy and hurting the guy multiple times. So,
and that guy was a tough guy he fought too, man. That was a tough kid.
That Japanese kid was tough.
You just got to wait until it numbs up.
I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's a lot of interest right now to see Caleb Plant going there against Canelo, especially not now. He's only got 21 fights under his belt, right? That was his 21st fight.
Yes.
Okay. And what has he got? 12 knockouts in 21 fights, 13 knockouts. So he's not, I don't know, man. Canelo's focused on his mandatory February 27th against this guy, Yildirim. I think that's how you say his name. And some people are saying that's going to be a tougher fight than expected. I think that fight will be as tough as Canelo allows it to be. Exactly. Apparently, he's used that guy for multiple camps as a sparring partner. So, hey, you know what? If Canelo wants to do a solid like Floyd did to Robert Guerrero all those years ago, because he knew Robert Guerrero, what he was going through with his wife and the cancer treatments. Maybe Canelo's going, hey, I'm going to reward my guy. My guy can't get a decent fight. I'm going to give my guy a fight. And we're going to go on there. We're going to fight. But at the end of the day, he knows this is going to be a career-defining payday for this guy. And then it's on to and like AJ, you wanted to talk about something. You wanted to bring up a point about people basically trying to lambaste or like talk shit about Canelo for fighting his mandatory, or
it's out of Canelo's reach. Mandatory is exactly what it sounds like. It's mandatory. Yeah. There is no, I want to fight this guy. If he doesn't fight the fight, he vacates the title. And in these days, with a limited amount of fights out there and a limited amount of opportunities, Canelo's not about to give up anything that he's worked hard for. So his mandatory's here. I don't see people having an issue when Bud Crawford has to fight a mandatory or when anybody else does. But ever since Canelo was accused of those performance-enhancing drugs some years back, he's never been able to shake that stigma. But I think the thing that really, really gets under a lot of, and it's a division in boxing. It's the Mayweather fans. They know no matter what they're going to say. Yeah, Mayweather handed Canelo his only defeat, but that was when Canelo was just a baby. I mean, literally, I think he was 2 weeks out of his mom's uterus. And now we're looking at this. There is no question, if Mayweather ever did venture back into the ring, which I know he's not going to, and walked and was able to meet Canelo at whatever weight, okay, it's not going to be competitive at all. Canelo has advanced his game. All the things that Mayweather was doing, Canelo has advanced in a different form. Maybe not as elusive, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is a guy who works on his game, not just his offense and his power punching and his mobility, but his defense and how he's able to move, you know, in a stationary, in a prone position, and just avoid these punches. It's pretty amazing.
Well, Ryan Garcia said something I just read today. He said a prime Canelo beats a prime Floyd, and I have to agree. And I mean, yeah. I guess. Well, here's the thing, though. To me, it's a mythical matchup. It's like saying a prime Sugar Ray Leonard beats a prime Muhammad Ali. They were both, you know, great in their own respects, but different weight classes. I don't think Canelo's prime was the 147 or 154 pound division. I think his prime is probably right around 160, a weight that Floyd would never venture to. So it's really it's kind of hard to really to lend credibility to that argument, saying a prime this, a prime that. If you just say pound for pound, who was the better fighter overall, that's still yet to be determined, because Canelo Alvarez still, by his own admission, still has a few more years left in boxing. I mean, he could fight. He's very young. He could still fight another 3, 4, 5 years if he wants to. He'll get out at the right time. So God knows, nobody knows what he's yet to accomplish.
No, absolutely.
A year or two from now, when everybody said, "Oh my God, he beat this guy, and then he beat Billy Joe Saunders, and then he goes off, and then he beat one or both of the Charlos or whoever else is out there." Maybe they do have that mega fight, that mega all Mexican fight with Jaime Munguia somewhere down the line, where
exactly.
And
that would be honestly huge. So just to kind of like a little bit, like
and real quick, and win or lose, bro, AJ, win or lose that fight against Munguia. I mean, obviously the world knows that we're Munguia fans and friends of Munguia. Well, I'm going to root for Jaime, but if for some reason a couple years down the line, right, they fight, and let's say Munguia is able to beat Canelo for whatever reason, that's not a knock against Canelo, because Munguia is a big, strong, young guy. He's not a guy that is, you know, overmatched, you know, who had to through negotiations to, you know, earn a ranking or whatever. I mean, he's really fought his way to be where he's at. And like you said earlier, AJ, Canelo's fighting.
He's fighting.
He's got a fight coming up on the 27th, right? He's
fighting. Like you talk about Munguia, you know, he's another guy who kind of gets, you know, the shaft from us. You know, and it amazes me, especially from DAZN. It's plainly obvious that Sergio Mora has an issue with Jaime Munguia, and I would love for Sergio Mora to confront Jaime one day. I'm sure Jaime would give him the answer he's probably not expecting, but, you know, he's going to give him an answer. But you look at, you know, what Jaime Munguia has done since he's moved up to the middleweight division and stuff. Patrick Alate, Gary O'Sullivan, and Toriel Johnson. These are not walkovers.
No.
All three of these fighters were guys coming in with glossy records, with especially Spike O'Sullivan, you know, with the exception to his devastating loss to David Lemieux, that lucky punch, the guy was tearing it up in the middleweight division. Toriel Johnson was probably one of the most avoided middleweights to today. Nobody wanted to fight this guy.
Yeah, because he's physical. He's very physical.
Yeah, and you saw what he did with Munguia. He gave Munguia fits, but as soon as Munguia figured it out and landed that big shot, I mean, I still say today, I've never seen it in all my years of boxing. Munguia took about an inch and a half chunk of the guy's lip and knocked it about 7 rows back. It was ridiculous. Somebody got a nice souvenir. You know, it was crazy.
Yeah, or a not so nice. Someone got a chicharroni in their freaking probably landed their beer.
I mean, it was insane. But yeah, so getting back to Canelo, like I said, I mean, if you look at, you know, what he's done, okay, even if you were to go back to what he's done when
his resume is just, you can't say anything about that resume, man. You can't. I mean, the fact that he got in the ring, whether or not you dispute it, he won, he lost in his 2 fights against Gennady Golovkin. Yeah,
he got in there with Golovkin. Okay, he didn't let Golovkin do what Golovkin normally does. You know what I'm saying? And since the fight, he's elevated himself above Golovkin. You know.
The one knock I have is the Rocky Fielding fight, but you know, at the end of the day, Rocky Fielding was undefeated at the time. Yes, he kind of went in there with, you know, not really expecting to win the fight, whatever, but and even in the Gennady fights, because I thought Canelo lost the initial Gennady fight. I thought he lost the decision, and I thought he pulled out a close one in the rematch. But the bottom line is this, and we've been saying this for weeks on this show: it's not about the winning and losing. It's about putting yourself in positions to put on great fights against great fighters to be remembered, which is, someone like Floyd, for far too many times, he fought guys that nobody really cared to see him fight. Like even in his final fight against Andre Berto. I mean, I wish he would have fought Andre Berto 3-4 years prior when Andre Berto was in his prime.
Yeah, before Victor Ortiz got his hands on him and everybody else did, it was ridiculous,
Yeah.
That was Floyd's, but you agree, Eric? That was always kind of Floyd's, and I'm not trying to knock Floyd, okay? Because Floyd was great in his own right, okay? But the thing that people have to understand in life, just like in life in general, things change, elements evolve, boxing's evolved since Floyd. Floyd can go ahead and keep doing his circus sideshow, whatever he wants to do and stuff. But to guys like Canelo, he still takes the sport seriously. So when Floyd still tries to interject, his impression of what he thinks boxing should be today and stuff like this, it's an insult to the guys like Gennady Golovkin, to guys like Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez, Jaime Munguia, and a bunch of others.
Yeah, and Floyd, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I agree, 100%. You guys never cease to amaze me in your knowledge, I guess, of everything. AJ, that was spot on, absolutely spot on. So I'm going to defer to you guys because you guys are a lot smarter at this stuff than me.
Yeah, go ahead, AJ. Go ahead.
No, but I was going to say, but you know what I'm talking about, though, Eric. Floyd always, like I said, don't get me wrong. In Floyd's earlier half of his career, in the beginning of his career, Floyd
he was fantastic.
He was a monster.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Go back and look at his fights against guys like Angel Manfredi and some of these other fighters and stuff like this. I mean, he was a complete beast.
Bro, I remember watching that fight. I remember being at work the next day and telling you, holy moly, did you see what he did to Manfredi? And Manfredi was a tough guy. We actually saw Manfredi. You met Manfredi. We actually both did. We saw him fight live a couple times. He was a tough guy.
I guess Ivan Robinson.
That was a great fight. Yeah,
it was an amazing fight.
He was a blood and guts, like just a tough, just
who Angel Manfredi reminded me a lot of was John Molina. In a lot of ways. I'm going to tell you why. The Gladiator. Because when given the opportunities, Manfredi never, ever, ever backed away from an opportunity to get in there with anybody and stuff. But he was always kind of lost in the shuffle. He would get right to where he needed to be, and then some other crap would come in or a fight would fall through. And it was just an unfortunate situation, or some fighter like a Floyd Mayweather shows up. I think Floyd really put himself on the map in his victory over Genaro Hernandez. When he went in there and completely dismantled Hernandez the way he did, but that was a different Floyd. Floyd became this very defensive-minded, kind of a cute fighter and stuff, that, I don't know, kind of like the lighter version of a Muhammad Ali, I guess you would say, with a lot more skill.
Yeah.
But the point is that you in today's boxing, they want the overly aggressive. I saw somebody posted something today on a boxing news thing talking about how the heavyweight division is so boring without Deontay Wilder. Well, what is it that they loved about Deontay Wilder? Fundamentally, he had a lot of holes, but it was that knockout power. It was that unexpected one hitter quitter that he just can land at any moment. You agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I saw a video today with the guy that just beat Bermain Stavern and talking about, and I'm knocking the guy for having aspirations to be great, but it's like the shape that he came in for that fight, and the fact that I took him 11 rounds to get Stavern out of there, who came in at a career high like 274 or something like that. I mean, Stavern was like one cheeseburger away from playing right tackle in the Super Bowl this week. I mean,
you're always going to get guys like that, bro. I remember years ago watching ESPN, and there was a guy named Larry Booker that ended up winning this fight over a guy that had 3 wins and 13 losses. This guy came into the fight with a 6-6 record. After he won this fight in this 6th rounder, he won by a 4th round TKO. He was calling out Larry Holmes. You're always going to get these guys are delusional.
Knuckleheads, dude.
This guy's never going to. They're actually calling this whole card by Don King just an absolute atrocity. It was like going to Barnum and Bailey's circus. It was like the circus sideshow on the side. This made up, these were all guys that he just kind of like rehashed and dug them up and then put them in the ring for that night.
Yeah, and then it was I would like to see what the pay-per-view on that was. What were they charging, and how many dozens of people actually paid for it?
A Snicker bar, a can of beans. I don't know, dude. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But
so let's go. Hey, let's go back on that. Let's go back on Canelo. So Canelo is going to fight, on the 27th of February of this month. God, I can't believe it's going to be here before we know it. He's making that mandatory at the Hard Rock in Miami against the Yildirim. And then I read today that they've already kind of have a verbal agreement for him to then take on Billy Joe Saunders in a unification fight on DAZN May the 8th, which is Cinco de Mayo weekend in Vegas. Now, Bob Arum supposedly has already secured the MGM Grand for that weekend for the Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez fight with Chon Cepeda on the undercard. So I'm a little torn on that one. I mean, I'm going to want to watch Canelo fight, but I'm not missing Chon's fight.
No. To me, it's I mean, I think Eric, you agree, right? That's like a
yeah.
You know, Canelo's going to handle this guy. He knows the guy. I mean, the guy's not going to bring anything.
Do you think they're going to go through with that? Do you think they'll have competing cards in Vegas on the same day? Canelo with the fan base he pulls, and then Ramirez Taylor with the fan base. Because let's face it. Especially if it is against Billy Joe Saunders, right? You're going to get, not that the Brits can travel here unless something drastically changes by May, but the pay-per-view numbers and the interest in that fight would be big because they do support their fighters. Billy Joe versus Canelo, that's a huge fight, man. That's a pay-per-view fight. And I think in any other normal time, because it's maybe even more so now because of the fact that the Brits and people from the UK will not be able to travel across the pond to see that fight live. So they're going to order that fight.
I'm just wondering what kind of Billy Joe Saunders is going to show up. Is it the Billy Joe Saunders that was tearing up the super middleweight division, 168-pound division a few years ago? Or is it the Billy Joe Saunders that showed up on that farce of a YouTube card that they had? We went in there and just kind of went through the motions. Billy Joe has not looked good in his last few fights. And that's not a good sign going in against a guy like Canelo, who's continuing to up his game. At the end of the day, like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say it again. Canelo beat the best 168-pounder in the books, not in the minds of real boxing fans. We know who the best 168-pounder is. It's David Benavidez. But according to every broadcast out there, according to every promotion, Callum Smith was the man. And he was just humbled by Canelo Alvarez. So Billy Joe Saunders, it takes a little bit of luster out there. But honestly, what do you think Billy Joe Saunders, what kind of a chance do you think he actually has in a bout against Canelo?
I think he's going to try to be cutesy, move, pick, pot shot, pick his shots and go. But I think eventually Canelo walks him down. I don't know if he'll stop Billy Joe Saunders, but I think he just wins an easy, comfortable decision. I'm talking like an 8 rounds to 4, 9 rounds to 3 kind of fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Billy Joe will be just dirty enough. Because he does fight dirty. He does fight a little dirty. And if he does that to Canelo, man, that hot Mexican blood, man, will start boiling and he'll go after him. He'll fight fire with fire.
Well, that's what happened in the Gennady Golovkin fight. When Abel Sanchez questioned Canelo's Mexican heart and said that, why don't you be a true Mexican fighter, stand there and fight Gennady? Well, guess what, Abel? You got your wish that day. And it was probably, if you can go back in time, you probably wish you could have took it back.
Yeah.
Billy Joe Saunders does have one thing that might be worrisome to some people betting this fight in Las Vegas. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's his friendship with Tyson Fury, a guy who's learned how to adapt and how to come up with the perfect plan in order to beat a fighter. Okay, so if you look at his fight, Fury's fight against Deontay Wilder, for all reasons, Deontay Wilder should have went in there and took over and just basically should have been an extension of the 12th round and ended Fury. But Fury changed the game. It's not to say that Fury doesn't get in the camp, because he's got a good way of looking at things and maybe give Billy Joe the right tools and the right plays to be competitive.
Yeah, the right game plan.
Upset.
Yeah.
Exactly. You never know. Because, Tyson's good at that stuff. He's good at it, man. He's done it in every fight, where he's looked bad, he comes back and, hopefully, we'll see what happens on that. But
good point.
So what else do we got on the 13th? Let's see here. We got want to talk a little bit about the Richard Comey Jackson Marinas fight?
Yeah, I've only seen Comey by my own admission. I've seen him fought maybe 2 or 3 times. I think you nailed it when you said that Marinas, is that his name? Marinas,
Marinas,
the Colombian fighter. I think he's got that bad taste in his mouth from that fight with Rolly, and I think he's going to go in there and, like you said, he's going to use that as motivation and momentum to not allow that to happen again, to not to come up short on the cards, especially fighting in America.
Well, yeah, especially coming off of that Romero highly controversial loss. I mean, like I said, I mean, I honestly was so confident that Morenis had won the fight that I actually didn't even watch the last 2 rounds because he didn't even need him. I felt the fight was over and stuff. So I figured I was getting ready for the main event, you know, doing a few things. I felt bad because I like Rolly and I wanted to see him win. But hey, everybody runs into that bad opponent.
I think it's so shocking actually when you pull that up and you look at it right there, when you see that Frank Lombardi 118 to 110. Who is this guy? And why is this guy anywhere near a boxing ring?
Well, even
other than to empty the spit bucket.
Glenn Feldman at 112, 116. I mean, just it was just, you could see it in the kid's face afterwards. It was a hard pill to swallow. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the only person who's going to suffer from this loss, it's not going to be Morenis. It's going to be Richard Comey. And unfortunately, Comey coming off of that loss to Teofimo Lopez, the knockout loss, he might be just going in there with the guy who's maybe even a little bit more devastating than Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, but his record doesn't really indicate that he's a knockout puncher. But like you said, the kid's motivated. The kid he hits hard enough, and you know,
he's got quite a bit of pop. I mean, he had Romero on his heels for most of the fight, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact it's just the pace of the fight. This guy was nonstop, but he was slick. Something you just don't see in a lot of fighters. You know, he kind of reminded me of.
I misspoke. I apologize. I said from Colombia. He's from the Dominican Republic. My mistake.
Yeah, a lot of good fighters coming out of the Dominican Republic right now. I'm seeing more and more of them.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. So that fight takes place on the 13th, right? So which is a week from this Saturday.
Yes.
And then on that same day, we also have the Patrick Teixeira versus Brian Castano fight at Fantasy Springs, right?
Correct.
And that's a, you know, on paper right now, that's considered a 50-50 fight. You know, it's a fight that's been a long time in the making, but visa issues and stuff kind of, you know, I guess delayed that fight from happening. I'm excited for that fight. I'm excited for Tim Tszyu to get the winner of that fight because he's due the winner of that fight. And also, well, you know what though, there's something else I want to talk about too, but we'll get to it later. But yeah, Tim Tszyu is in negotiations right now to fight March 31st against Dennis Hogan.
That's an interesting matchup. You know that is, right, Eric?
Yeah, Dennis Hogan's the guy that fought Munguia, and a lot of people thought he might have eked out a decision there.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. Dennis Hogan is no longer training with Glenn Rushton, I believe, though. I just read that he's working out with Wayne McCullough, the Pocket Rocket.
I loved that guy, dude.
I love Wayne McCullough. I don't know really what he's done as a trainer, but I mean, he's a very knowledgeable. He was a great fighter, world champion, right? Multiple time world champion. So, I mean, Dennis Hogan's, he's a tough guy. He went in there and I think he bit off a little bit more than he could chew by trying to go up to 160 and take on Jemele Charlo.
Yeah.
And he was eventually stopped like midway through the fight, 6th or 7th round. But he could give Tim Tszyu some fits. But I'll tell you this right now. If Tim Tszyu comes out and looks devastating in this fight, like I think he's primed and ready to do, and we've been saying it for well over a year, brother. Tim Tszyu is the kid to watch.
Well,
I agree.
I'll tell you this, Eric and Mike. What's going to make Tim Tszyu so successful in this fight, even above what Jaime Munguia did and what Charlo did, is the fact that Tim Tszyu has learned already at a young age and at such a novice stage in his career to put just the correct amount of distance. That's going to be Dennis Hogan's Achilles heel. That distance right there allows Tszyu to do so many things.
Yeah.
Devastating. That's where it's going to come down to. And you watch, it's going to be one of those ESPN highlight reels.
You think so? You think he's going to catch it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be even as competitive as people think. I think people are going to turn around and scratch their head and go like, people better wake up and notice that there's a new Tszyu, and we're not talking about Casas. We're talking about Tim Tszyu, his son, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Who's blazing a trail all on his own, man.
Yeah, he really is. I mean,
you really got to give the kid credit for that.
You know what? It was funny because I remember I was watching this thing and they were showing that thing with the fight, and Charlo, they mentioned something like this, and he kind of had this look like really.
Well, like, yeah, they're gonna
say that now, but we're gonna see here because I'm gonna tell you something right now. Go back and look at guys like Sergey Derevyanchenko and some of these. Now, obviously, that's the middleweight division and stuff, but even the shortcomings that Jemele's had at 154,
Tony Harrison
and stuff like this. These are guys that, like I said, good fighters, but don't have a huge bag of tricks. Tim Tszyu, in every fight that I've seen him in, he keeps pulling out a new trick. Go back and look at the punches that he knocks guys out with. It's a different punch every time. Body, or it's a left, or it's a right. Wake up, people. There's a new contender in there.
Oh yeah, he's definitely. You know what? I'm really shocked that I know that he was here for a while, you know, sparring at some of the gyms and working at. He even worked at the Mayweather gym. He worked at Wildcard, and I know there was definitely a lot of interest. You know, I think Bob Arum, Top Rank, approached them about, you know, hey, they want to sign him, or, you know, sign him to a co-promotion to promote his fights here in America. But I think he probably saw the writing on the wall and probably, you know, he's probably playing mental chess, and he probably says, you know what, I kind of see Top Rank having some issues, especially in the division that I want to fight in. I don't need to get myself locked up where I'm, you know, the next Bud Crawford, and I can't fight anybody because everybody's fighting at this other platform.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that segues into, I mean, obviously there's a couple other fights on the 13th, but obviously the fight on a lot of our minds right now that we've been talking about, I actually want to get Eric's clue on this, is the Oscar Valdez Miguel Berchelt fight.
Yes, that's on the 13th as well.
No. That's actually on the my bad. The 20th. It's very next week.
So we have some fights coming up this month. Thank God.
But the thing is you made a great point. You said some fighters dare to be great.
Yes.
Some fighters are satisfied just having a nice glossy record. We know Oscar Valdez is daring to be great. He's going to be the underdog. He's had some dog fights. Something that Berchelt's never really had. Berchelt's had tough fights, but he's never been in that all-out dogfight, getting himself off. He's
never had to bite down on his gum shield. And
so give me this, Eric. You got a young fighter. You got two fighters that coming in, both champions and stuff.
Okay.
One guy has shown vulnerability, but somehow always finds a way to win. And then you got another guy
fought through a broken jaw with somebody missed weight and came in and broke his jaw. The UK fighter. Why can't I think of his name right now? God dang it. It'll come to me right now.
Yeah, but I mean, and then you got the other champion who's just been completely dominating
everybody,
tearing people to pieces. But I'll be honest with you, did not look extremely at the top of his game in his last fight. You know, he actually struggled in his fight against Valenzuela, which ended up going to a no contest. And it looked like a fight where he was looking for a way out because Valenzuela was coming on and Berchelt just was looking for a way out. And I believe it was a cut or so, I can't remember what it was. Something happened. But so what do you think about that, Eric? Who would you give the balance to? The guy who's dominating in Berchelt, or the guy who seems like he's just throwing air to the wind and saying, hey man, I'm going to see if I can cash out on this.
Okay. So they're friends too, aren't they?
Yeah. They've known each other. Yeah. They're friends.
So they've probably been in the ring together sparring.
I'm sure they have.
Probably over the years.
I'd go with the one that says, you know, I'm going for it. You know, you're underdog. Quite honestly.
Yeah, the one that he's daring to be great because everybody, I would say 9 out of 10 boxing writers were saying Valdez is vulnerable. He's been hit. He's been hurt. Berchelt's a beast. He's not, you know, Berchelt by stoppage.
Oh.
That's what most people are saying. But like you said, Oscar Valdez, AJ, at first thought, I think Berchelt's too strong. But then when you said, you know, that Valdez is daring, there's a reason why he's doing it. He's taking this risk, and it's not even a calculated risk, or maybe he sees something that we don't see. I don't know, but that is going to be that right there. That could be a pay-per-view fight, man. It's going
to be a great. The fight that really turned my opinion on Oscar Valdez was back in 2017, was against Genesis Silveira. This fight, if you get a chance, go back and watch this fight between these two guys.
Yeah.
This was one of the most, I mean, they were both hurting each other. I mean, it was a crazy thing. They both got, Valdez was down in round 4. Silveira was down in round 5. I mean, it was just an all out. It was one of those fights where, you know, because the guy came in 29-0, another undefeated guy that Valdez, but somehow Valdez got enough to come back and win the decision.
Yeah.
I know some people felt it was close, could have been a draw, whatever, but the bottom line is he did it again. So what do you think?
Yeah.
Well, I know that Valdez has what, 22 knockouts out of 28 fights, I believe it is.
Yeah.
22 knockouts, 28. So the kid's got a punch.
He's got a punch.
Berchelt has 33 knockouts, 37.
Yeah, Burchell's strong.
He's strong, but you know what? I'm gonna go with Valdez, only because
And an upset.
when your back's against the wall, kind of like, okay, so not to put my business back in the thing, but when your back is against the wall, you do what you need to make it happen.
To survive.
You know what I mean? To survive. And maybe this is this kid's chance, and maybe he knows it. And maybe we get to see an amazing fight. So
hey, that could be that right there could be a classic. That right there could be that right there could be a Pryor Arguello style fight where they're just two great champions. One considered a little bit coming in from a lighter weight, right? A little bit more vulnerable, because Oscar used to fight at 126, right, AJ? 126. Now he's fighting at 130. This would probably be Burchell's last fight at 130, win, lose, or draw, because I think he's ready to try to test the waters at 135. But
I thought that after Burchell's fight with Jason Sosa, I thought that was going to be his last fight at that. But for some reason, he came back and fought the other two. The only issue I see going in this fight for Oscar Valdez is that vulnerability.
He suffered a broken jaw again. It was Scott Quigg.
Yeah.
Scott Quigg broke his jaw.
And if he maybe at this point, some of these battles start to catch up with him a little bit. And a guy like Burchell, who has just amazing power. But like I said, then again, I'm not going to put too much credit on whatever happened to Burchell in his last fight, because obviously coming off of the COVID and the pandemic and everybody, being, inactive, he's going to get that mulligan. But there's been way too many mulligans for Oscar Valdez. So I'm looking at it this way. If Oscar's best thing is to get Burchell in the late is to get him into deep waters. He's got to get him down there where he's been before. Burchell's been knocking guys out inside of 6-7 rounds. He can't go those long rounds. He's shown a vulnerability for getting tired. That's Valdez's opportunity.
Valdez motor gets revving and he gets stronger as the fight goes on.
But he's got to weather that early storm because Burchell's coming hungry.
That's right. You're right. And in fact, I think in Valdez's those wins that he's been able to pull out, it's all been in the second half. He's vulnerable the first early part of the fight. He's very vulnerable. So if he can weather the storm early, take him into deep waters and drown him.
You never know, because like I said, I mean that's been the thing. That's been the MO on Burchell. He's kind of become like the little Mike Tyson of that division.
Yeah.
But in a quiet way, a lot of people don't really look at him, because you talk about a guy who's heavily avoided. Look at Miguel Burchell. There's a lot of fighters that literally jump his division just to go into the next one, so they don't have to face the guy. I know there's been talk about possibly Lomachenko facing Burchell. If Burchell wins this fight, and if for some reason they make that happen, another amazing fight. I would lean towards Lomachenko just based on overall experience and him being I just think the more talented guy. Yeah. But it just depends where he's at in his mind, what's going on. But I can't see Burchell overlooking Valdez, but I know that he's probably getting that feed. So-and-so had him down and so-and-so had him down. And you're a monster, man. You're just going to walk through him, because if he blows that wad early, he's going to walk right into the game plan that Oscar Valdez is going to lay out for him.
Yeah. Like I said, because Oscar does turn it up. He does turn up the volume, man. He turns it into fourth and fifth gear.
Absolutely.
That's gonna be a great fight. I'm excited for that fight. I wish that fight was this weekend.
So Oscar Valdez, if you watch this show, we're all rooting for you.
Yeah. Well, proud. I'm rooting for a great fight. I like both fighters.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for a great fight.
I know. But I like the underdog.
I'm not a big. It's no mystery. I'm not a big fan of the Reynosos, Eddie Reynoso, and he is working with Valdez. But I do give the man credit. He's a good trainer. He's a little bit arrogant. He's gotten a little bit full of himself. So for that aspect, I guess maybe I'm leaning a little bit more towards Burchell. But then again, Oscar Valdez seems like a great kid, and he's right here. He used to live and train here, very close by. So
yeah, exactly.
Great fighter.
But there's a few other fights that are coming up in the near horizon, obviously, and stuff. You got let's see here. You got Adrian Broner, who's going to be making his comeback, obviously, on that same.
They pushed that fight back, right? They pushed it back to the 20th.
To the 20th. Yeah. So it's the same week as the Burchell fight. I don't believe it's on the undercard of the Burchell fight.
Who's Broner fighting?
No, because the Burchell fight was going to be, I think, on Top Rank.
Broner's fighting a guy named Giovanni Santiago.
Undefeated guy, right?
Undefeated guy. Actually, a pretty decent fighter. Fought on Showbox a couple times. I saw him in a fight on Showbox when he fought against this guy named Ivan Cano. That's actually a pretty good fighter. And pretty much he had his way with him before he stopped him in the 7th round. Broner doesn't come back and ask for easy pickings. The man never has. And if Broner passes this test and he comes in there and he looks like Adrian the problem Broner, not Adrian I'm a problem to himself Broner, still thinking he's Mayweather.
Adrian Broner with the problems.
If Broner wants to be successful at this stage in his career, which is probably his last hurrah, this is it. This is the last match in the box. He needs to go back to being the Adrian Broner, the guy who beat the guys like David Litzau, the guy that just walked through people back in the days and stuff. He's got to go back to that power hitting, quick in and out, that Aaron Pryor, that mini hawk that he had become, and get away from this rolling on the ropes and thinking he's Floyd. If he goes back to the old Broner, we may have a new threat at the junior welterweight and possibly the welterweight division. If he doesn't, it's just it's the last burn for Adrian Broner. That's all I can say.
And Adrian said it just this week. He said, people are writing me off, man, like I'm old. I'm only 31 years old, which, he's still a young man. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, I feel much better about him if he was 28, 29 at this stage for like the rebirth in his career, but 31 is still a young man. I mean, I wish I was 31.
But I think maybe people talked about the 2
You look 31 though, brother.
I think coming back into this fight.
I feel 61.
I think the layoff might have done some good for Adrian. Maybe helped him kind of get his head together and stuff rather than just jump in another fight. Obviously, anybody who went back and watched, I think the fight that really, really bothered me that Adrian shouldn't have had an issue with, and that was Mikey Garcia. That should have been an easy fight for Adrian Broner. But for some reason, Broner just fought like he was Garcia's sparring partner for the day. I'm not gonna. The
Porter fight we watched, and you're thinking, Adrian, like, why is he not pulling the trigger? And all credit to Sean Porter. Sean Porter's tough, but when he finally opened up in that 12th round, he put him on the seat of his pants, and you're thinking, where was that in the second, third, fourth?
Broner did that against Mikey Garcia too. There was moments when he would do it, and all of a sudden he would stop. It was almost like somebody had like an on-off switch on Adrian. Okay, let him fight. Now I'm going to turn him off.
Yeah, even against Manny Pacquiao, he had moments.
Yeah,
he had moments.
The only loss I give Adrian where he actually went in there against a guy that had bigger balls than he did, and that was Marcos Maidana.
Yeah,
Maidana came and said, hey, you know what, dude? I'm going to do what I do. But I always tell people, man, stay away from those Argentinian fighters, dude. Those guys are dangerous, dude.
They're strong, man.
Dude, stay away from those guys, man. I mean, avoid them. Take the easy route, dude. Go after the Japanese. They got softer heads, dude. Stay away from those guys, dude. They're dangerous, dude. But getting back, like I said, I mean, I wish AB luck. AB's he's a character, and love him or hate him. There was a point in my life where I couldn't stand Adrian Broner, but I respected his talent, But then to see Adrian Broner become that vulnerable guy and stuff, because I remember I saw this YouTube thing one time where Adrian got into it with Gervonta Davis, and Davis almost like he looked at Adrian like, you're a has-been, man. And within a snap, a click of a finger, Adrian showed Gervonta Davis that he's still AB. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing is that people don't understand is that Adrian Broner, he's not your run of the mill. He's a guy that came with a great amateur pedigree. He came into boxing and he just started beating the best of the best one right after another. And then he got hooked up with Mayweather and everything went down the toilet.
Yeah. And you said it too earlier. You said don't try to be Floyd. I think a lot of people were, saying the next Floyd. They're kind of doing the same thing right now with Ryan Garcia saying, oh, the next De La Hoya, the next De La Hoya. That's too much to put on these young guys, man. And maybe it was too much to put on Adrian Broner. I guarantee you it's going to be too much to put on Ryan Garcia because for all that Ryan Garcia has and what he showed against Luke Campbell, the ability to get off the canvas and win a fight. I just don't think he has that I don't think he's got the skill level as
he doesn't.
As an Adrian Broner. He's still very fundamentally flawed and still very, he just, I don't know. His defense is very lackluster. The way he carries his hands, his head straight up in the air. I don't think he's anywhere near a Adrian Broner in terms of talent. He's nowhere near a De La Hoya, that's for sure.
Well, for anybody to even have a comparison, obviously it's Oscar. He's a promotional banner behind him that's giving the comparison to his older self to the new Ryan Garcia. There's only one person, and not even Oscar could really give that assessment, and that would be
Robert Alcazar.
Robert Alcazar would be able to spend a day with Ryan Garcia and probably nitpick him and go, well, if you really want to be Oscar, we got to fix this, and this, because the Reynosos ain't going to do it. Nothing against Reynosos. They're on their own right. But two totally different trainers, two totally different styles.
Yeah, and Canelo's a different style fighter.
Ryan's not built to be a Canelo Alvarez.
No.
You can't train him like a Canelo Alvarez,
No, Canelo's a different animal, man.
Yeah.
Canelo's completely has a different set of skills and a different set of toughness, you know, and a chin. I mean, he was rocked that one time against Cotto's brother, Jose Cotto, 15 years ago. That was the most hurt I'd ever seen him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and even against Gennady Golovkin, as much as he took those flush shots, I never saw him wobble for a second.
The only fighters I've ever seen kind of stop Canelo in his tracks, that would be obviously Cotto's brother and Erisei Lara. Erisei Lara had a very successful Erislandia had a very successful fourth round where he caught Canelo with this uppercut and this quick little hook. And just, you know, Canelo wasn't what I would consider like super hurt, but it stopped his progression.
Got his attention.
But got his attention. There you go.
Yeah, but there's one thing I will say about Ryan Garcia that I really liked about what he did in his fight against Luke Campbell. That was when he got dropped for the first time in his career. Not his first time in his life. I guarantee you he's been dropped in sparring in the amateurs. But when he got dropped at this plateau with everybody looking at him, it was the aggression in which he came back with. That was the key, man. If he would have came back and sucked up like a turtle and barely eked out the round, I said, you know what? This kid's days are numbered. But he came back and fought. So you got to kind of take your hat off to the kid and say, hey, the kid came back and show what he needs to do.
Yeah, no, you're right. He did. He did.
And
like I said, that's one thing I will give him credit that he was able to bite down, get up, recover from that, and win the fight and close the show basically with that body shot. I think, like we said a million times, he had the right guy in front of him, but that's boxing at this stage. These guys are being given the right guys to you know,
they're handicapping.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's like
completely handicapping.
The announcers talking, and they're like, you know, this kid gets knocked down by Luke Campbell. How can he expect to fight a guy who's never even put his hand on the ground in a Teofimo Lopez? And I will look at him and go, dude, did you know that Teofimo Lopez got knocked down in his pro debut? His pro debut, he got dropped. It wasn't a devastating knockdown, but it was counted and it was a drop, and he got knocked down in his pro debut. They got to do their homework before they open their mouths.
And he got hurt, and he got hurt against Lomachenko, especially in that 10th round, and just did nothing but hold for a good portion of that like 9th, 10th, 11th round, 12th round. He kind of got on his bicycle, but yeah,
he was hurt against Nakatani. Nakatani had him hurt.
Yeah, in
his fight. I'd love to see that rematch. How would you like to see that, bro? The Japanese kid.
Well, I know the Japanese kid's kind of clamoring for it, but you know, we all know Teofimo's not going to go anywhere near that. So I don't even want to get on that guy. That'd get me in a bad mood.
That's awesome.
So I'll tell you, getting back on Broner real quick before you get a chance, Eric, if you get a chance, you got to go back and watch his fight. Back in 2018, Jesse Vargas versus Adrian Broner. Go back and watch that fight, man. That was a hell of a fight. I think I
saw that fight.
That was a hell of a fight, dude.
Yeah.
I
think I saw that fight.
Yeah,
I kind of leaned towards AB a little bit, but I got to give Jesse credit, man. Jesse fought his ass off, man.
Jesse's another guy that's tough and fought a lot of tough guys. He's got a great resume. You know, the only thing with Jesse is he just continues to play that round robin with trainers, you know?
Yeah.
He's had Dewey Cooper for a while. He had Robert Alcazar for quite a few fights, several years. You know, that probably, I think, in terms of longevity, was his longest trainer that he's had, the longest person in his corner, with the exception of his father, who's been with him obviously since day one. But then I don't even know who he worked with in his last fight. His last fight against Mikey Garcia. Who did Jesse even have in his corner? It wasn't Dewey Cooper. It was
he was with Robert Garcia.
No, because Robert Garcia was training at Mikey.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. The other one. Dang it.
Joel Diaz?
Was
it Joel Diaz?
I think it was Joel Diaz.
But like I said, he's just constantly bouncing from trainer to trainer to trainer. I don't know. I mean, at some point, you got to just trust the process, you know?
Yeah.
It's like in football, these guys, you know, an offensive coordinator maybe has a bad year or two, and he's implementing a new system, and like, they're already right away, all the fans, this guy can't call an off. It's like, give it time.
Well, Jesse's a guy that I think is still there. I mean, he's a guy that's only 31 years old. He's still got a lot of fight left in him and stuff. You know, he's big for the division and stuff with the right trainer. And if he gets a little bit of consistency and stuff, Jesse's gonna make some noise.
Yep, I agree.
You know.
So anyways, we've been going about an hour. I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I mean, it's been a dry, like I said, it was a dry weekend in boxing. There's not a whole lot coming up this week for us to talk about. You know, I wish there was. I wish there were some fights we can kind of break down and get excited for this weekend. But I think it's like we said, the Super Bowl's this weekend, so a lot of people are going to just be focusing on that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I know for myself. I mean, for this year, another fight that we'll talk briefly. We talked about it before. Is on the 27th is Jemele Herring, a guy who you just got to really respect and like, taking on Carl Frampton.
And I love both guys, man.
I love both guys. I'm so torn. You know, you got the military guy with Jemele Herring, who's just a great soul. But then you got the Jackal, who just, come on, man. He's the he's the Michael Casitas of these days, man. I mean, he's the Jeff Fennick, man. I mean, you gotta love the guy, blood and guts, no matter what it is. He's a smaller version of Lomachenko. That is the Jackal. You know, people don't give him credit for what he's able to do in the ring.
The fact that he can out jab these guys at 5'5", he out jabs guys and he's going to be giving up a lot of height and reach to Jemele Herring. But if anybody knows how to find his way in, it's Carl Frampton. I got to say, I'm definitely going to probably be rooting for Frampton in that fight, just based off of what Jemele kind of pulled in that last fight, where things were not going all that way.
I was really disappointed in that.
You saw that fight right here.
Eric, did you see that fight?
You wanted a way out, you know?
Which one?
Did you see Jemele Herring's last fight?
Which fight?
Jemele Herring's last fight when he just kind of bailed out on that fight.
Yeah.
It was
I can't remember that.
Jonathan Okondo.
Yeah, Kendo. Jonathan Kendo. That's right.
Yes. That's
the one where he kind of quit. Like he had got hit. What was it? A punch behind the head of like several rounds earlier or something, shot that was considered a foul.
Yeah.
And
I tell you, I think that Lamont Roach fight with Jemele Herring
took something out of him.
That took a lot out of Herring. Herring really had a battle back. People don't realize how good Lamont Roach is. This guy is a really good fighter. And he really, if he didn't burn out in those last few rounds, this guy went on to win the fight, was going to go on to win the fight. He just kind of ran out of gas, you know? Jemele Herring really had to struggle. He really had to dig deep for that fight. So maybe he just didn't have a lot left for Okendo. Maybe he puts it going towards Frampton. But I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm basing anything off of his last two fights, he's got a tall order to fill in Carl Frampton at any weight. I'm telling you right now, bro. Carl Frampton is one of those.
What you're saying is he's.
Oh yeah.
So what you're saying is he's lost some steps.
I don't know if he's lost some steps. Sometimes fighters just lose the motivation. I think sometimes they start to feel themselves too much, and then they get in there with a guy who kind of, they know in their heart they should have lost this fight, and they just don't come back that superior fighter. You know, a la Charlo, and his loss to Tony Harrison. Say what you want to say, he came back and did what he did, but he wasn't the same Charlo anymore.
No, he was losing that fight too, the rematch.
Yeah, he was losing. He was on his way to lose it. He didn't get cocky until after he got the stoppage win. But up to that point,
and then all of a sudden it became like, oh, this is, this was like my plan all along. And I think I don't know. He was a little bit surprised, I think, at the outcome.
and I think that's what it comes down to, Eric. And what we were talking about earlier is character. There's some fighters who, no matter what the outcome's going to be, no matter how far they're behind or how far they're up, they're going to fight as hard as from round 1 to round 12. That's Carl Frampton. I can't say the same for Jemele Herring anymore based on his last fight against Okendo. He showed me a vulnerability of just wanting to kind of find that easy
way out. And Carl Frampton actually was having a hard time the first half of that last fight he fought, and then he ended up winning the fight by stoppage. Am I right? He ended up coming on in the second half of the fight.
Absolutely.
Frampton. Yeah.
But the thing is, you look at Carl Frampton, if you go back even before that fight, was his fight against Josh Warrington. And we'll end it on this. Warrington, to me, honestly, one of the dirtiest fighters in boxing today. He's actually fighting this week too. And we'll talk a little bit about that on our next show. But Warrington did everything. And you know what? Even through the injuries that Frampton sustained, through the referee that was totally against Frampton, I mean, everything, this guy showed class and fought to the bitter end. And even in defeat, he congratulated Warrington. Warrington wouldn't even talk to him. He was so full of himself. But the point is, I knew at that point, we're not done with the Jackal. This was just a bad fight, because I guarantee you that fight's already being talked about happening again.
Hey,
and
that'd be a great one.
Frampton takes care of business that time.
I think so. Yeah. Yep. I still would like to see, I got to be honest, I would still like to see that third fight between Frampton and Leo. And I think Leo owes it to him, because Leo promised him that third fight. They, the trilogy, 2 amazing fights. If you've never seen them, go back and watch them. They were both great fights. What's not to love about a third fight, especially if it can take place in Ireland, like he had promised, And hey, Leo, you've never been to Ireland. I know you never have. You'd love it there. Have a great time.
No, absolutely. So, hey, going into our next segment, before we come to our next thing, obviously we got Joshua and Tyson Fury. Have they even released a date on that yet?
Not a date, but supposedly the fight's done, but I don't know why they haven't released a date yet. But maybe they're waiting. Right now they're just lining up all the, all the publicists and press and every.
So let's don't say who we favor right now. Let's all do our
No,
homework
let's wait.
for the next couple of days. And in our next show, let's come back just in a little brief spot and let's kind of talk about who we think is going to win and why.
And
That'd be
how?
kinda cool.
Yeah. Well, on Sunday when we come back, we'll focus on the Warrington fight. You know, I'll definitely probably try to catch that somewhere. I don't know if I have to stream it or whatever, but I'll definitely try to catch that on Saturday.
And the guy he's fighting is not no pushover, man. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a much tougher fight than Warrington. But I hate to say it, Warrington's one of these guys. He gets to fight in his hometown. He fights with his referees. It's like fighting Lucien Boutet in Canada. You can't win no matter what, dude. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's like digging up that old referee and putting him on. So anyways, so that we're a little over an hour now. So I guess we'll just call it a show. We'll call it a show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, bro.
Sorry I was late, man. Sorry I was late.
Hey, good luck getting everything ready for Friday, man. Have a good grand opening on Friday, man. Hopefully you could book as much as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if anybody's in the Portland, Oregon area, anywhere, Gresham, Sandy, Troutdale, anywhere, come by and go onto our site and book a room. We're running a special 6 people for $5, the price of 5. So
there you go.
On in.
Yeah.
Bring it on in.
Hey, I was wondering real quick before we go, dude. I got Barbaro right here, dude. I found all my little things that we got to send Anita and stuff.
Barbaro.
I bet those things are worth money now, huh?
They might be, man.
Might be.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you,
all right, guys. So, Mike, go ahead and take us out.
All right. For those of us at Enter the Ring, thanks so much for tuning in again. Have a good rest of the week. We'll see you guys on Sunday, right? I mean, Super Bowl Sunday. I guess we're still going to do a broadcast, right?
Hell yeah.
Fuck the NFL.
I don't care about the NFL. So
me either.
So we'll see you guys on Sunday for Mighty Mike,
AJ Rage,
and Eric Red.
Have a good week, everybody. Have a good rest of the week. See you Sunday.
Later, brothers. Be safe, guys.